What's up, banana bunch? Bunch? Bunch?
Welcome to the Jungle Gyms podcast. What's up, Banana Bunch? You know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the Jungle Gyms podcast. I'm your host, Mark. It's the Halloween episode. And listen, I bought this look at this thing. Full-on Proton pack from Hasbro. Now, this is a special thing from Hasbro, so, you know, we don't carry these in store regularly, but we do in my office. And listen, this is a fun episode. It's a busy one this week because I have been spending a ton of time this week busting all over the entire store. But I'm pretty excited about it. As always, I want to thank everybody for tuning into the show. Hey, if you're out there in the land of the internet, maybe you should join me on YouTube. There's a lot of visual content. Those of you listening right now, you're like, well, what's a Proton look pack? I got to Google that. You don't have to Google it. You just watch me turn around for it. It's kind of amazing. So that's what we got going on first, of course, on the way of store updates. Well, you know what? I'll actually let them describe themselves. I thought it would be fun here at the top. You know, we've been talking about all the giveaways and new things in the store ad this week. But I'm going to introduce you to one of my new coworkers. And that's going to be a lot of fun. But first, I had one last little thing here. It's time for me to give something away. I noticed this little note on the side of the Neutrona wand because I'm a nerd and know exactly what this is called. Looks like Josh Flower 68 is the winner this week of the Halloween candy giveaway. And for those of you who are watching right now, you're like, wait a second, Mark, what giveaways? Okay, so for the last few weeks, we've been doing giveaways on the show. Every week, I want to give away some product. Sometimes it's a combination of stuff from the store and from a vendor. Sometimes it's just from me here in the store. But you never know what you're going to win each week. And what's even more fun is I let everybody get to be a part of it. On Wednesdays around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll jump on TikTok Live, and you can actually shop the store with me and Lucky while we go through and pick all kinds of stuff to give away for you. So we've done things so far, like we did a big giveaway of a cooler filled with international snacks. We did a giant bucket of ramen from all over the world, and like an absurd amount of ramen. And this week we had a bunch of international candies, and who knows what'll be next. So tune into us on TikTok if you like that. But it's really easy to enter. If you want to enter the giveaway, all you got to do right now is you have to subscribe to us here on Jungle Gyms International Market on YouTube. Leave a comment on this episode for the following one, and then I announce whoever wins on the following episode. Should be fun. We're debating this week. We were thinking we wanted to do, one of the ideas Jungle and I kicked around early on. We're like, well, what if we did a big cereal giveaway, right? Bunch of cereal boxes would be hilarious. It's a lot of product. It would look great. But then there's also the idea where I'm like, well, what if I started going country by country? So maybe that's the kind of comment you could leave and say, hey, Mark, you know what? That does sound like fun. I think that would be a fun giveaway. But there's so much stuff. It's going to be great. That's how you subscribe. All right. So here's what we got on the show this week. I'm going to introduce you to one of my new coworkers. I'm going to let them talk about some upcoming events that they've got in the store here. We're going to meet Johnny Catalano of the Catalona Film Group and the Plaza Theater because he's hosting a screening of Night of the Living Dead with the original screenwriter John Russo. That's pretty exciting. And then I brought in some comedian friends and my buddy Tyler, who's been on the show a couple times, both performing music as well as making salsa with me on the show, because we're all putting on a show this Friday together. And I thought I'd let you meet them and we'll have some fun. And in the meantime, we're trying a bunch of holiday snacks and Halloween themed things. So let's turn this over. I feel like it's about time for us to start swirling some wine glasses in the studio, right?
You should have seen him the first time we tried to do that.
All over. Just poured it right in my lap.
I always tell people, you can use the table. It's all right. Just make little circles. If you're too afraid to do this, just make little circles.
Ooh.
Remember,
this is the whole segment. I won't put any of the useful stuff in there. I'm just going to have us swirling glasses and talking like idiots.
What was that game with the pen that you would put your pen in?
Oh, Spirograph, right?
Spirograph.
Yeah, exactly.
It's adult Spirograph.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's a good move. Well, I think it's time to introduce you. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. First, okay, so you're relatively, I probably set this up well leading up to this club, but you're relatively new to the team. Obviously, Michael, welcome back as well. Well, I'll acknowledge you quickly, but I have you on here pretty frequently. But no, Amanda, so you've only been at the Jungle now, what, a couple months?
August 10th.
Oh my gosh,
first day.
So first off, congratulations. Nobody here listens to the show. How do you like it so far?
No pressure.
Right, exactly.
Well, I still keep coming back every day, so that's a good
huge
sign.
thing.
Yep.
What were you doing before this?
Before this, I was running a coffee wine bar cafe that I opened for the company that I was working for.
Oh, cool.
We also had a lot of smaller segments, so we also had a wine bar and retail downtown. So that's where I was in the city of Cincinnati.
That's so cool. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah, glad to be here. Well, so you came in because we got like I always bring up, and now I know why you both are here, because you're both coming with notes, and I love when that happens. I've still got my notes from my last segment. Actually, funny enough, my notes also made by Michael B. It's just the MBs in the building got to stick together.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. So, Amanda, first off, what are we drinking today? Talk to me about that.
So we are starting off with the Eidelsvicker from All Sauce. So I brought this on because a lot of people don't know about it. Really, what I'm featuring is next week's Back the Glass Up.
Oh,
so those
okay.
that are not familiar, we're moving into, we have Harvest. So it's celebration of harvest around the world.
Okay.
Beaujolais Day is coming up, Beaujolais Nouveau. It'll be the November 16th of this coming year. But it's a huge day for those that know Beaujolais. It has to be served, moved out, sold in the year of its harvest. So literally, while they're harvesting, this is the celebration wine, the harvest wine. So they harvest it, they quick ferment it, pop it in bottles, and ship it all over the world for everybody to enjoy.
That's so cool.
You remember when we talked about how Riesling was money back in the 17th century?
Yeah.
So these guys, the Beaujolais Nouveau is literally harvested. They make wine out of it, and 6 weeks later,
Yep.
they're giving it out to the guys. It's like
the harvest
it's
workers,
like,
really.
It's like payment. Thank you for working the harvest.
Now let's all get drunk.
Right. I mean, I feel like more jobs should do that, honestly.
Right.
It's like, just put it in my bonus package.
Yeah. So I wanted to point that out. We are celebrating harvest. And then because it is harvest, everybody's out there working hard. We've got a couple cool days. Alsace does a great harvest festivals. Hungary does incredible festivals as well. So we're going to feature a dry ferment from them.
Oh, cool.
That ferment grape can be made super dry, or it can be made so sweet. I mean, it's like
anywhere from
slow pour.
0 grams of sugar per liter to 200 grams of sugar per liter.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So we'll do a dry
We've got
one.
in the cellar. It's $1,300 for a 500 milliliter bottle, and it's 1% alcohol.
4.
Oh, is it?
It's a 4.
4%?
It's
The
one of
other
the
one is-
highest.
there's 2 of
Yeah,
them.
it's one of the highest, and it comes with its own crystal spoon.
Oh, of
In a
course.
mahogany box.
Oh, my
Yes.
gosh. That's amazing. That's
Beautiful.
half the cost.
I always show that bottle off when I bring people in the cellar. I always show that off. But
Yeah.
yes,
That's fun. That's fun. I love
yeah.
it.
So I wanted to introduce some grapes that most people don't reach for.
Sure.
So we're going to do the ferment, celebrate Hungary, and now we're going to celebrate Alsace, which is that northeast corner of France.
Okay.
It goes back and forth. If you notice, this is a 1 liter bottle for $20. Great value, by the way.
The
But
reason why we have this wine is because the winemaker stayed in Alsace, and his wife came to the United States, and she stopped in with all their wines.
Yeah.
And we didn't even have an Edelvicker at that point. It's a common wine, but we just didn't have one.
Right.
And this is the best one
by far,
for the money
I've had,
that you could hope for.
So what makes this style, like what's the,
Why is it called Eidelsvicker?
right, exactly.
It's a blend.
Okay, cool.
So Eidelsvicker.
Yeah, like how do I ask this question?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Eidelsvicker is a blend, and Hugel is a blend.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've got that, you're using one of the 7 noble grape varietals out of Alsace.
Okay, cool.
Out of there, we're talking northeast corner. We went back and forth through German controls throughout the wars.
Cool.
Now it's all French. So you've got Pinot Blanc, you've got Riesling, you've got Sylvaner, you've got,
Molathurgal?
there we go, Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
Also got a red wine in there. So,
I love it. This is exciting.
Yeah.
So you were saying this was, so the Back That Glass Up,
Tremonti.
that's every Wednesday, right?
It's every Wednesday, but what we're doing is, I wanted to talk about featuring.
Like theming it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Michael always does a great job with picking out selections, and I just wanted to bring it to more attention because it's a lot of fun. We provide some snacks. There's
Yeah.
a great group of community that shows up every time. It's a great way to introduce yourself, get some cool values.
Right.
We do half glass pours, we do full glass pours, we do bottle sales, and Michael always, as I like to call it, a baller move. He always picks out a high-end bottle. So we
A little halo bottle every once in a
or a
while.
halo.
Right, he's a Halo. I love it. Hey, I like both versions of it.
So
I'll ball out
yeah.
with my Halo on.
It makes it a lot of fun. But this one is Sylvaner, 45% Sylvaner, 25. I know we've got, tell me where. Pinot Blanc is in there, 45 Pinot Blanc, 45 Sylvaner, and then you got Gewürztraminer, which a lot of people think is only a Thanksgiving wine. But
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, just sounded like you made it up a word. So
Gewürztraminer is a German northeastern French grape that is typically served at Thanksgiving. They call it a turkey wine
okay,
because you have a level of sweet, a level of acid that comes through. It's also very floral because what do we smell in our glass?
Right.
Well, we have this thing. So
Yes.
yeah. I smell
So-
the previous sipper.
throughout history, men and women have perceived things differently. When it comes to wine, it's the same.
Yeah,
When she smells it, she gets.
different things and he gets different things. And
Yeah.
so we always have this, whenever we taste together, it's always this back and forth of like, but I get this, but you get that. So it ends up being a lot of fun. That's why I wanted him to come on because
Yeah.
this is such a unique bottle.
that's cool. This is
Yeah.
really good. I
Right.
mean, I have such
Do you remember
a
when we had that talk about cilantro?
Yeah.
And how some people taste it one way and another?
yes.
Yeah.
I think durian's another
exactly
one of
the
those
same.
too. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much. Well, and something you taught me early on, Michael, and then again when we had what's his name when Ed came in here with Greg Brewer, and I'm forgetting the sommelier he brought in too.
Oh,
He wonderful flower. Yeah,
Larry O'Brien.
Larry, thank you. Awesome people, but one of my big takeaways from a lot of you, and I think you and I will bond this way too, Amanda, is that it's so subjective for everybody. Like I'll smell this, and be like, oh, this smells like
Yep.
the leather jacket my grandfather wore when I was in kindergarten.
Absolutely.
You know, and you'll be like, okay, well, I didn't have that experience.
I've had
it smells like
right,
flowers.
Right. And that's it. Like I grew up doing vacations in Florida with
Yeah.
my grandparents and frangipani, that flower in Florida.
Yeah.
I will pick that up sometimes. A lot of times in Torontes or in an Eidelsvicker, but this one has a much calmer nose to it.
Oh,
It
cool.
is very aromatic,
Yeah.
but it's not as overpowering. Sometimes I've had some different ones that are very overpowering, but this
Sure.
one I definitely get white flowers by
Yeah.
all means, like a jasmine, a honeysuckle.
Okay. You said honeysuckle. I can
Yeah.
smell that too. So, so then when she says that, what are the things that you're picking up on then?
Oh,
Since we're
come on.
creating a fake rivalry.
This is actually. one
I
of the
want a
wines-
show fight
this,
to
this
happen.
This is actually a wine where there's not going to be much disagreement.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
You know, white wines tend to have more consistent florals,
Okay.
and
There's I get orange blossom,
and I get chamomile and jasmine.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
chamomile.
Ooh.
Is that a mile long or is it chamomile?
I'm more of a camo kilometer guy.
Where's that button that opens up and drops? The
Oh my gosh. You know who would probably love that idea is Jungle.
Right.
I bet if it was like Jungle, what if we have one seed in here that was a trick? I think that would get done today. I might honestly go pitch him on that later today. Can you imagine if an interview's not going well? I've only had one interview this whole time I've been here go what I felt was not well, and it still wasn't bad, and it was very short, but I would have enjoyed hitting the button on that person. They were
And we're
nice, but it
done.
was just a bad interview, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm sorry, I derailed.
Oh,
So,
I
all
love it.
right, so we got these events coming up. We're doing new themes to it. What else are we? Well, obviously, I'm sipping out of the Wine Festival glass right now.
And the
November
wine-
11th.
November 11th. It'll be my first wine festival, so yay.
Oh, that's awesome. Are you looking
Yeah.
forward to it?
I am.
It's a good time. I had my
Yeah.
first one last fall. I really enjoyed myself.
I've heard, I do know quite a few of my friends from around the area already have tickets, so I'm excited to see people that I haven't seen in a while. Just the assortment of wines. We
Oh,
got
yeah.
the draft of the book. I mean, there's some cool selections. A lot of that's one thing I find totally different. I love the Cincinnati Wine Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Been fortunate to judge it the last couple of years, and go to the festival.
Yeah.
But it's all one portfolio of a distribution company in the city or
Sure.
in the state. So here, I think it's really cool because you get small people, you get large people, you get a little walk of every single life. So
That's cool.
It's a much better variety, and there's entertainment, there's music,
Yeah.
there's food. You know.
And we're talking 400 wines, great food from our own in-house Chef James up at Oscar
yeah.
Center.
Yep.
And it's just, it over-delivers in so many ways.
It really did.
Wine Spectators Grand Tasting is this weekend in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like have like this big spread, about 200 wines.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah,
let me show you what Ohio can do.
Exactly.
come
to
to
the-
Fairfield.
Come,
Yeah.
come to the jungle.
Can you imagine? I imagine the tone of people in that room being told to go to Fairfield, Ohio,
Yeah.
and New York City would be that's the show I want to do.
The food might. I mean, I hate to say it. The food might be a little better at.
It depends.
Wine.
James and Logan, they're killing
Maybe
it over
not.
there.
Make
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, I would put them. I would put
But
them toe to toe with
You know what we should do
Yeah.
then? So off your idea, we should do like a Top Chef deal.
See?
We should get
See?
that to go.
Chopped or top chef?
If I
Yeah.
listen, everyone that watches the show,
Yeah.
just start writing emails to the company constantly telling me them how badly you want me to have a cook station that I can use for myself. That is not someone else's. That
Yes.
I will have to beg and plead to have access to it for like 30 minutes one random Thursday. I would love to do that. I think us doing a Chopped or a Top Chef or any of
Yeah.
those things in here would be insane.
Right.
Well, hey, this is how we do it. I just make the customers beg for it. So
Write
that's
'em
awesome.
in.
And after we
Email
win, then
them.
we become emeritus judges for other people.
There
That's
we
what
are.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is how we go. This is our golden parachute, everyone. Okay.
I love it.
Amanda, welcome so much to the family, truly. And thanks for coming in here to do this too. Michael, obviously, you're always welcome too. Looking forward to more fun wine events too.
Awesome.
Anything else that we should make sure we mention while we're here?
We just for the next Wednesday, we're
Yeah.
also doing a pinotage. Don't be scared. Most
Okay.
people are scared of pinotage.
So that'll
It's-
be, so you say next Wednesday now because we're always
Back to
ahead
the-
here at Jungle Gyms. But that'll be the Wednesday that this
the
episode
25th.
airs. Yes. So
the
that'll be the
25th.
episode.
So we're gonna have our ferment from Hungary. We're gonna have the Eidelsviker.
Yep.
We're gonna have a pinotage from South Africa with a really, really cool story behind it.
Cool.
About the winemaker. Then we're gonna do, because it's also National Carignan Day, so
Okay.
that's a southern French grape that is a really cool bottle made out of 75-year-old vines. And then we also have the domestic Paul Hobbs, who is 7th generation farmer who learned how to make wine and understand dirt by the apple orchards he grew up in.
Cool.
And has transferred around the world into creating wine areas.
That's
Best
so cool.
wine comes from the best farmers.
Right.
Always.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
really, that's all that wine.
All about that terroir,
That's what
right?
we are. Harvest
I'm
wine.
calling him a terroirist.
Yes, terroirist, yeah. But grapes and winemaking and wine is, when you think about, you're growing, you harvest, we're celebrating, we drink. So
That's so cool. I love it. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
welcome.
Thanks for coming on.
yeah,
Michael, pleasure as always, buddy.
Great to see you.
Yeah. Thanks.
thank you.
Amanda, welcome to the jungle. Really glad to have you here. It's been a pleasure to get to know you so far. Looking forward to more stuff. All right, on that note, let's dive in with a little Friday action here, okay? So this week, this Friday, I'm meeting up with, I got to meet, finally, comedian Adam Minnick, who's been touring all over the country. He's got a special on Dry Bar you should check out, and he was gracious enough to invite me to come host an event he's hosting this Friday at Fretboard Brewing in Blue Ash here, just in Cincinnati, Ohio. And of course, I mentioned earlier, Tyler, repeat guest on the show, both a musical performer through his band St. Mary St. Michael, as well as coming on here to make salsa with me. So let's meet the boys. Tyler, welcome back to the show. How we doing, buddy?
I am stoked to be here. I saw an Adam walking in. I pulled on to 275 and I just merged around a semi. He blares on his horn because I'm not allowed to merge.
No,
and then I
definitely
get off at Fairfield. He gets off the same exit, and I'm pretty sure he took a picture of my Jeep. So
I'm gonna look on Jeep Finder.
Mark, here's the thing. I'm driving my semi truck. This guy cuts me off.
cuts me off.
It's like, come on.
So, if I lose my kneecaps, do I get compensated because I came here for the podcast?
No, there's no insurance for that.
Sick.
Too.
Hells yeah, dude.
Every time. Thank you, Tyler. Sorry, I'm sitting here adjusting your levels on
Yeah.
the fly. I was like, oh,
Oh,
I was
cool,
like,
cool,
yeah.
cool.
Well, we know we talk about this every time you're here. I'm like, oh hell yeah. When people know mic discipline, it's very refreshing. But you're not the star of today's show.
No, I'm
I'm going
not.
to pass this over to Adam. Adam, introduce yourself
Ooh,
to the
I'm
audience. You're
sorry.
fresh. Well, I mean, you might be. Let's see what happens. Talk about your
Oh
semi
boy.
truck.
Yeah, my last name is Minnick. Adam Minnick. I feel like James Bond there for a moment.
Minnick.
James Bond. Comedy. That's what I do. Stand up.
And you've been at it a lot. I think the first time I saw you was like in 2009. It had to be back then.
Jeez, I started back in 2002. My first ever getting up just to
Yeah.
a show.
It was
But
at Go Bananas.
one of the Go
Or
Bananas.
not your first
Funny
show, but
Bone.
like
Funny-
the time that was when I first saw
My
you. I think it was
very
Go Bananas.
first show I ever did was when I went to Xavier, and they had the Mr. Muskie pageant, which was a spoof on the Miss America pageant.
Yeah.
And I did, for my talent, I did stand-up comedy. I was pretty awful at it, but
Sure.
I did it. And then I didn't touch it for a year because I did improv comedy, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to get back into it. So but in 2003, I decided to go down to Funny Bone when it used to be inside the levee.
Yeah.
And I did 5 minutes, and it was... I don't think I even did 5
Paparazzi-
minutes.
wait,
We can
your
wait. We got
paparazzi.
the paparazzi out here. Hey, they're here for
Is
you.
that
Hey.
Adam Minnick?
I heard he drives a semi.
I did five. I don't think I even had 5 minutes, but it was so bad because comedy you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I think I did that set. I went back in the table in the back of the room, put my head down, and the guy who was running the open mic His name's Jeff Jenna, great comic.
Yeah.
He said, look, you've got the stage presence down. You got that. You just got to work on the material.
Sure.
And so he was very nice, very kind. Next day I woke up, absolutely loved it. As much as I bombed, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. There's something, it's like a bit of it being like an exposed nerve in a weird way, right? Where you're like, all right, here we go. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's like all comics are just looking for approval from strangers. That's
For
what
sure.
we're doing, So growing up, my brother he had learning disabilities, so he was the main focus, my older brother. So like I was kind of left on my own.
Right.
And I think maybe it's like crave approval from random
I've
people.
never met a comic that's like, tell me about your life. And they're always like, oh, yeah, I was supported. My dream. It was always.
Yeah, right. My parents definitely understood what I was
got
trying to
nothing.
do.
I
Yeah.
just, I love everything. And I decided I wanted to share that love with people.
Life is great.
Yeah, right. I'm always looking at it like, look, there's, in my opinion, for everybody that's got an issue, there's one of two options. It's either not enough hugs or too many hugs.
too many hugs.
You know what I mean? Like, it's such a true thing. Like, yeah, we're filling a void here.
Yeah.
And for me, the void is now coming out in the form of a podcast.
That's right.
You guys want to pass around some beef snacks as we promote the show that we're doing?
I'm
Yeah.
curious.
All right, actually, you know what? Before I go to this one, because this is cool. This is, I believe, Bok Bok Sing is the brand. But I like bringing this brand up on the show every so often because they're called No Brand. And I've had them on before. No, that wasn't when you were on last time. But they're called No Brand.
Because they're not sellouts. They're not sellouts.
And they're like, they want to have the project. I have like some of their cookies over here. And it's just a very nondescript yellow bucket. It says No Brand coconut cookies. Picture of the cookies. That's it. I'm like, Korea, you did me nice. Do you have any food allergies I should be aware of?
Only when it comes from North Korea.
Oh, perfect. Oh, yeah. That's where we source our best.
Oh,
food.
good.
Okay, here's a funny note while I'm poorly opening this. There used to be this restaurant down by me in Northern Kentucky that was a Korean restaurant, like a K-barbecue kind of place, but they were pro-unification of Korea, so it was always very interesting to go in there because they had a lot of like, I wouldn't go so far as to call it pro-North Korea, but what do we think?
They weren't anti-North.
They were very, and they spelled Korea with a C, and it was like one nation. I was like, whoa.
Is it on the same street as Kung Food?
No, it was like on 18 in Florence. It was right by the highway. And the only reason I ever went is because people were always like, that place is a front. And then I went there. I was like, no, it's actually a really good K-barbecue place.
Cockfighting in the basement.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm in. But listen, whatever pays the bills, I don't care. So long as the food comes out in the way, I was like, oh, those scallops look good. What do
These
you
are
think?
good.
They're garlic
No
shrimp
brand
chips,
is
right?
good. Oh, it's garlic shrimp? I'm definitely allergic to garlic and shrimp. So
And
this is
shrimp.
good.
No,
the
I saw-
combination of which
I saw
creates
the
some
shrimp
sort
and
of-
I'm like, uh-oh, this is going to either be great or not. It's just enough.
Yeah, that's my beef with the shrimp chips usually, is that it's usually way too much. And I'm like, ugh. Sometimes seafood just tastes like an ocean graveyard, right? You're
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
that's-
yeah.
I tried eating seafood. I'm not a big fan of fish, even though it's like a grown-up food.
Yeah.
I tried to force myself to eat fish. I can't do it.
Yeah.
That's just fish fillet at McDonald's. I can do that.
Okay, that's fine. And it's only like 40% actual food
I mean,
at that
yeah.
point. It's
I
perfect.
love that the packaging, the chips are actually bigger than like real
Then the
size.
actual,
And they have Coke.
Yeah, I like that. It's like very nondescript.
But like,
Coke,
here's a
too.
realistic picture and then like a drawing of Coke. Like,
They got it.
they got it. No brand.
And I bet Coke didn't sue them.
But to be, I love that I'm from the South where you have Coke and then you specify what kind of soda you want.
Exactly.
And so that's it, just like nondescript Coke. That's
Right.
That's speaking to
It's
the
kinda
Southern
great.
boy in me.
That's why they call it no brand. You can't sue a non-brand.
What kind
Right.
of Coke are you drinking?
You're gonna sue Air?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I could, I'd like to figure it out. Honestly, I'm in due for a little lawsuit, Adam. I'm like, name something after me. While we're here, before we get too deep in this, I feel like you should do some show promo. Like, talk to us. What are we doing together here
So
shortly?
Tyler and I and another comedian, his name is Brian Hicks. He's coming out of Chicago.
Cool.
Great comic. He actually opened for me on my album recording. He used to open for the Impractical Jokers.
Cool.
That Michael Carbonaro effect.
Yeah.
which
So it's
is
a
great.
pretty big downgrade.
Yeah. He's okay. Brian's is a good friend of mine, great guy, and we're doing a show on Saturday at Darkness Brewing. He's going to headline it for me, but we're going to do Fretboard with Tyler and his band. So I'm going to do 45, Brian's going to do 45, and Tyler and his band are just going to crush it at the end. They're gonna,
Yeah, we've been talking about Adam talked about what he's been doing with his comedy. Just before COVID, kind of at the height of, as we spoke, and I do my open mic at Fretboard.
Yeah.
And
I'd like the show plug.
really, that's right. We really
Do it.
we've written. I really curate it around original songwriting. And Adam shows up one day just saying like, "Hey, I just tell jokes. Is that cool?"
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, did you write them? That's original, right?
Yeah.
And so he would come every couple weeks, do some jokes to a crowd that did not want to hear jokes,
Yeah.
like at all. And
Power move, though.
then COVID happened, and that was it. And then
Yeah.
you did a dry bar comedy special,
Yeah.
which was kind of cool. And then he's been coming back.
Oh, you're like, that was
not a big
kind of
deal.
cool, yeah.
But anyways,
not real cool, but kind of.
back to
Yeah,
my
it's like on the
open
list.
mic.
Yeah, it's like room temp.
But yeah, so it's what's funny is before I saw your show, your taping, he's never done like fully fleshed out jokes at the open mic. He comes with very much raw material to a crowd who doesn't want to hear it in the first place.
Yeah.
And we've been chatting ever since because he's got a kid, I got a kid. And we've been talking about doing a show together that incorporates kind of, you know, what we did with you.
Yeah.
Hopefully people will show up to this one,
Yeah.
unlike the Redmore. But yeah, so
By the way, every time I get an opportunity, I always like Mandy at the Redmore. You were one of the greatest ever.
yeah, no shame on
And,
the Redmore.
no, they were so, and she was painfully good to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it was definitely that was such a hilarious show. I'll give a little background for everybody. I tried to do with one of my old podcasts. I tried to do a variety style show. I brought in a bunch of comedians, musicians. It was a whole fun thing. I spent a ton of money and time advertising the show.
The audience were the couple comedians and us.
Right, and it was like there was like a couple girl. James brought his
Oh, yeah,
his
that's right.
then
Yeah,
girlfriend,
yeah.
now wife, and like some of her friends, and they were like, they gave me one of the nicest compliments ever, which were like, I have no idea why nobody came to this. This was one of the most fun
Yeah, it
things
was
we've ever
fun,
done. I was
but-
like, yeah, it was fun.
In an empty room.
Yeah, it was awful. But it was fun. I mean, that venue rules. I'm still gun shy to do events.
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
since. Where
that
I'm just
was-
like, I hate this town.
It was even me and my drummer played that show with us, and
Yeah.
we when I pitched, hey, so I'm gonna do this gig with this comment, and he was like, no.
Redmore brand too.
He's like, I'm not doing that. There was a comedian that started playing his drums mid his set.
That's right.
And Seth, my drummer, was like, hey, stop.
Who's now, by the way, on like a really big tour.
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
really
like
great
it's
music
cool,
world.
but
I
like
love it. No, it was
the comedian was a great. He did the comedian thing, which was, hey, he's telling me to stop, so I'm going to keep going, and people are like, but we were just like, come on, man.
Yeah,
like,
we weren't doing the right thing. We kept laughing because it was funny, but it was also like,
but it was just like,
if
wait,
I was Seth, I would have been pissed.
you know, and so Seth, and again, me and Seth, we played the end of this set to nobody, and so Seth
Yeah.
was like, this is, and I'm like, no, this show is actually, it's going to be different, I promise.
It was the only time comedians have ever been nice to me that night. Literally, because they were just like, hey, we saw the work you put in. I get that this is depressing and probably.
Yeah, this sucks. So
yeah, exactly.
we're not going to be our typical.
Like, we won't be in character, so it's very nice. So thanks, Blake. Thanks, Clinton.
But yeah, so we've been talking about doing the set for a couple years at this point,
yeah.
and I saw Brian. I saw he taped a special down at Darkness.
Yeah.
and
Is that out now, by the way, or is it still in
Yeah, I
editing?
just did the album.
Okay.
Because like all the money is put in, like trying to get into it. I didn't want to spend like a ton of money on it, so I didn't do the video. I have an app on my phone that has a countdown to the next one. So in about a little over a year, I'm going to do another one.
That's awesome.
But I just listened to Michelle Wolf on Conan's podcast.
Yeah.
And she talked about how she taped like 6 specials. She did like a 9 minute, a 15,
Okay.
a half hour, and Netflix picked up I think 3 of them.
yeah, I just watched the.
And I
most
think it's
recent one.
great. In like the standard seems like in comedy, you do an hour.
Yeah.
My album came down to 41 minutes. I think it's great that you don't have to do an hour. Earthquake, who just sells out everywhere, he's
Right.
huge. He only did a half hour. That's all he did for a special, and you're done. Like that's nice about comedy, and music's the same way. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to. There's no set rule.
Especially these days where it's like, because of the way media is disseminated, it's like, what's the point in sticking?
There's
It's like
actually
all the streaming shows,
a
right?
huge thing nowadays in like advocating for 20-minute sets, like across every medium, because like.
Well, we're going to be down to TikTok length eventually. It's like
Well,
60
you know.
seconds or less. Like,
my-
what do you got for me?
Dry Bar is only like 24 minutes. That used to
Yeah.
be 45,
Right.
And now they cut it down to 20, 21, 25
But
minutes.
I think now everybody's looking for the click through, right? So they're like, listen,
Well,
if I have 2 specials at 20 minutes instead of 1 at 45,
your
that's 2 clicks.
your analytics are bigger
Yeah.
because I watched the same amount of time, but I got 2 different things. Well, and I think that also is as me and Adam, because like I said, it wasn't until I saw your special down that you just taped and released, I had never heard his jokes.
Yeah.
That I always heard the like almost good version, right? Because he's come in, and by the time he figured out the joke, I'd never hear it again, right? And so. As someone who loves comedy, I've talked to Don Smith up on his radio show a couple times.
Yeah.
And I love the comedic side of things, but we wanted to do something that like would engage you for longer. And what was like music, comedy, and I am the exact opposite of funny in my songs. Like I'm like, ha ha ha, just kidding. I want you to hate life.
Right. So these are the Bok thing they're trying right now. I don't know how I edited this together. I messed up my edit already. The Bok thing, these were not a winner. I do like that there's a crystal ball on the front of the packaging. That's fun. That's about it.
Basically, this is your life. I'm excited to have you on to host it.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
It'll be great. You can meet Brian. And I'm excited to do it at Fretboard because, Tyler has always been supportive of me coming in. He could have easily said, no comedy, it's just music.
Right.
But he's been super supportive, and I wanted to always do a show with him. I thought this is a great opportunity. We can do this. And
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I think so. Well, while we're here, date, time, cost, what are we looking at?
Okay, it'll be October.
The 28th.
October 20.
Or 7th. It's the Friday, right?
It's that Friday.
So October 27th.
At 7 o'clock.
Yes.
October
Okay, cool.
27th, 7 o'clock.
Fretboard Brewing, the Blue Ash location.
Yep,
perfect.
Because they've got the new location. I don't think it's even charging tickets.
Yeah, I don't think.
I didn't think there was, but I wanted to make sure I asked.
It's free. They're paying us. It's
they're paying
free.
us.
Yeah, because we
Come
talked about this in like April.
my gosh.
I've had it on my calendar forever, and then I'm like, I gotta double check and make sure I'm good to go.
I love. I don't know if I told you this, Adam, but I love because I was like, hey, we should get Mark to host.
This is funny.
And so me and Mark's relationship, we've known each other for a few years at this point.
Yeah.
And a lot of our relationship has been like, nobody wants to give you a chance, and then when you're successful, they want to like hop on, right?
Right.
And this was just,
or they're very mean to you when you get a little taste of that
or
success.
yeah, absolutely. And so we've been buddies for a while. I've done stuff for him. He's helped me out. And so right before I had you reach out, he had just landed like a commercial spot or something.
So it's twofold. It was that, and I got named in the City Beat.
Oh yeah,
Best of.
That was awesome.
And it was awesome. And it was like that thing where I'm like, I think I'm funny, but I know I don't really do, I've done stand-up before.
Oh,
but
a
like,
lot of people, I forgot because there are comedians mad.
the whole reason I found out is because one of my friends sent me a screenshot of this person talking a little trash about me getting it. They're like, good work,
The
Cincinnati.
number one comedian in Cincinnati
Yeah.
doesn't even do stand-up.
Or sketches or funny.
Or
I was
like
like, no, I
whatever
just
it
host
is.
like a funny podcast that's successful. I've been writing comedic short films for like the last 5 years.
Forever. So this was right on the tail of that, and we had talked, and I was like, Adam, reach out to Mark, and you were like he never got back
He
to
never
me.
responds.
And I was just like, hold on. So I like texted Mark, and I'm like, hey, Mark, a buddy of mine, Adam, should be reaching out. And Mark's literally, he said, oh, you sent him. I thought that was just like another guy.
Because around that time, I was having a bunch of other like comedians trying to do, like not trying to do what you did, but were either like a little hands out or being a little weird, like, oh, why don't you come do my show
why don't
tonight?
you help me or whatever? And so I was like, no.
And
Like,
for every so often you get a funny one where it's like, well, Mikey at Go Bananas, like he was giving me a hard time, and that's why
Mike is funny.
I know he's like
His
funnier than
comments-
half the. I know, dude.
His
It's,
comments are funny.
but
he's
that
always
was
done great booking.
That was just the thing. So I was like, no, Adam, like, or Mark, Adam he's not like, I sent him, like, it's cool.
And that was when, and then I wrote back immediately. Then I was like, dude, I'm so sorry, but I had like 5 messages from people who I definitely. It was like people I didn't really know.
Yeah.
Who I was like, oh, this is probably
just
some
another guy.
Terrible.
I heard you
humor.
just got best comedian. By the way, nobody laughs at my jokes. Can you help me?
And listen, you've seen me share comedians' content. When was the last time you saw any of them do anything for me?
Right, exactly.
And I don't mean to be mean about that. I mean, it's not mean. It's truth.
It's true,
Sorry,
like-
if you don't
No,
like it, do something about it.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
Tyler spoke highly of you. I was like, you know
Thanks.
what? I'd love to get this guy, and you got a great personality.
Thank
I think
you, I
he'd be
appreciate
great to come and host.
Yeah, that'd be good. I love doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And the bummer part for me is that I've been like, comedy was like that and music were like my 2 first true loves.
Yeah.
So to be like treated that way by people who I'd been going to see since the early 2000s repeatedly.
Well, he used to do an annual event called Sweater Fest,
Yeah.
which was in a place that you would accidentally get poked with an AIDS needle. Like scary, horrible factor.
It's really more
it
about
was
Hep
great.
C.
Hep C, no way. Well, but that's
Get
where
let's get
that's
the
where we
illness.
met. Somehow he
AIDS
reached
isn't
out to
sexy
me,
anymore, Tyler.
but it was
AIDS is
comedy
not
and
sexy.
music.
Yeah,
Like,
because we have like 3 performance venues in there, right?
Yeah.
And we had like we had a main stage downstairs where we do full bands. upstairs we had this kind of like lounge style party room, and so I was doing that year. I was like, I had stand up comedians, and I had
it would
you
be
guys
like a
do the
comedian
band.
do 20 minutes, a
Somebody
guy
do
would
some
come up
acoustic
20
music,
minutes, and then it'd rotate back and forth. And I was like,
and then we'd
that's
have
so,
like full bands going on downstage, and it'd alternate. There was like a whole third room we had with a DJ. God, that was a good time.
So that was kind of what started this like mixed media thing. And so when
hell, I'd been doing it for years before that. Even well, by the time we did that, it was like Sweaterfest 7, I think.
7 or 8, yeah, one of those two.
It
So
was crazy. Yeah, like we did. Man, I just think about it. I miss doing those shows so much. I secretly
no brand.
I
Is
secretly
like,
want to
slapping
do it
with me
here
right now. No brand is working.
But okay, the boxing kind of
and-
terrible. Hate to be that guy.
Boxing blows.
Yeah.
No brand rules.
No brand is really good. They're oddly sweet.
Boxing.
I do not. I know why the box sings.
Come on,
I read
comedians,
one book
come
in
out
high
with a
school.
joke.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, no, we're not. I'm not actually funny. Really don't
See, I'm
care.
working hard at getting you these because we did Kyle Hackett's album release show.
Yeah,
with the
that was a
Feels,
great time.
And he was like, I want to host, and I'm like, I know a guy.
And you and I did a good little bit together
that was
night
fun.
too. It was fun as hell.
So that's why when we did that, I was like, I know the guy because there's already you riff, you do stuff. Yeah, and I think that's
I
the
hate that
difference.
this turned into a thing about me.
No, it's all about. Hey, listen.
I hate it. I'm just like,
I love
nice
it
to meet you,
because
Adam. Let me
as
tell
soon
you
as
about my
did,
trauma.
I did the last podcast with you.
Yeah.
Because we had been talking about it for a couple years, and literally it dropped. Someone's like, "Hey, dude, so glad that you like. That's so cool that you got on that podcast. Can I get on one of those?" And I was like, "Nice talking to you."
Right.
You can ask the guy. I'm not going to do it for you.
Podcast at junglegyms.com. Pitch me, but don't make me do the hard work. That's
Go back
what I
to
would do.
you winning that award.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it funniest stand-up comedian?
It just said comedy. Yeah,
Comedy is it's such a wide.
Well, I don't even think that it
range.
specified comic. I think it was just
I think
like
it was just like comedian.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing, it's not stand-up comedy is not a contest. It's just.
I was going to say the
you
Chappelle
had
show.
no control over that. You had no control.
Exactly. I was like, oh, so you're mad that the public thinks I'm funnier than
Right.
you. I
Yeah.
think that's the thing, right?
It's
I was
telling,
like,
right?
Yeah, and I'm like, again, if you go back through it, it's like vote for me in the city. I wanted the adulation because it does feel good to win. Anybody that says awards don't matter are people who never win
No,
awards.
I would love to win something like that, but I'm not gonna.
But like, I'm not gonna be mad.
You gotta run. It's also
mean.
look. It's a popularity campaign, obviously too, and it's like I have an audience, so of course I was gonna do well. I didn't think I was gonna win. I was just like, hell yeah, I'd like to.
He had Jungle calling some favors, is what he's telling
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
All
I was
the
like,
employees
Jungle,
that they call.
I was like, if you all don't vote for us, but the store did really well, and I got it. You know, and honestly, it's a huge credit. And one of the favorite things I love about this place is that when they ran a big ad for all the wins, and this is so. I have it still hanging on my fridge. I'll post the picture in the video when I put this together, but they took up like a third of their ad is just me and the podcast studio because I think we placed in like top 3 in the podcast and we TikTok account as well.
Sure,
which
yeah.
now I'm like, I keep saying, I was like, I have a vendetta with the Cincinnati Zoo. I keep looking into the camera just so they see me when they watch.
If
I'm
you
like,
want the press, you just gotta have a kid fall into a gorilla exhibit.
which is why I'm going to fist fight Fiona. Okay.
Ooh.
Fiona is a Cincinnati government psyop. I've decided they were so tortured by the loss of Harambe. Like, what other animals do we have? The most dangerous animal to humans. Make her a star.
Yeah, make it work.
I think I've been on their bad list ever since I made this video where I took like their announcement video and super cut it with a bunch of like really violent hippo attacks.
Wow, nice.
I was like, congratulations, Cincinnati Zoo. I'm
Yeah,
sure they're
we
like,
got her.
please don't ever call me. Gosh, it's amazing. I think this is a good point for us to maybe do the thing though,
Yeah.
where we say you touched on this a second ago, but and you did as well. It's not a competition. Like we're all different. Like so the reason I love stand-up comedy is the same kind of reason I like podcasts or talk shows. Is that I know what I think. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you think is funny. I want to know what you're going to tell me a joke about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't. You know.
And when one of you guys is successful, that literally does nothing bad to everyone else. There's not like, well, there's only 8 laughs per night, and he got 7 of them. Well, I guess I'm only gonna.
What's that line? It says, "Rising tides gets all sailors laid."
Yeah.
Is that it? I'm not sure. I think I have that. I'm off a little bit.
I'm here for that.
Close. I'm like, listen, I'm definitely
enough.
for some rising tide this year. Come out to the show on the 27th.
Well,
Red
red
tide. These
red
tides.
tide.
Yeah, red tide.
It's just funny. I'll shout out Fretboard for a second too, because like Adam approached them and they were like,
Yeah,
"Cool. What do
Fretboard's
you
cool
guys?"
about it, yeah.
And his first question was like, "What do you guys need to get paid?" Like we gave him a number and they were like, "Okay,
Sounds good."
Which is, I booked for a couple venues and I know everyone has their own thing, but Fretboard was just like, "Yeah, you've been coming here, like."
And the beer is nutritious and healthy.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's true, but
It's well,
doesn't have
that's
to
what I
be.
tell
it's
myself.
made out of vegetables, right? Like
Yeah.
Wheat, barley. Like, look, if you look at those Mediterranean diets, you know those two are on the
diet.
list.
Some of their beers have fruit in them. It's good for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Fretboard does a couple. They do it. I don't remember the comedian that does the beer tour, but he comes through Fretboard every year or so. And so they're like, yeah, let's do a fun thing.
You like open-minded people like that. It's, you know what I mean?
I just want to have fun.
And you see so much, something I wanted to tap into when you said that about how it's like, if your special blows up, it doesn't adversely affect me, if anything. And now
Probably
it's
helps.
like my time to be like, hey, if you like Adam's work, check out all of these other comedians that are in the circle. I don't get it. And it's a bummer to me because I saw it. I still think I've seen it the most in the music world.
Oh yeah.
Because
it's fairly cutthroat.
It gets a little. I feel like it's gotten better, but I kind of left writing original.
I think
music
because
in
there's
2008.
no money in it at all now, so we're banded by like. And I joke because
Mad Max out there.
What is and we're still what it's frogs killing each other to get out of the bucket or whatever the
Master
analogy
Blaster.
I
is.
like that we're just coming up with all these
know.
insane.
And Tyler's Master Blaster.
And my Master Blaster. But
Two men enter, no men leave.
no man gets out. No, I think we kind of hate because we're all too busy and nobody supports each other, which is its own dumb thing.
Yeah,
which
for
again,
sure.
ironically enough, it's like, hey Mark, I want to talk about this salsa recipe and maybe play some songs, and you're like,
That sounds awesome.
let's do it.
Well, so many people reach out to me like, "Could I come on your show?" And I'm like, "What do you want
What's
to do?"
your idea?
I don't know. And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Well, I'm never responding to you."
Well,
ever
that
again.
is, we are white men, so we know we're funny.
Wait,
And
I'm white?
I guess.
legally speaking.
Legally. Well, it's like, that's the podcast thing. I'm sure
Yeah.
you get the like, oh, we're funny. We should have a podcast. And I'm like,
all the time.
Of
And
course.
well, how many people think that like everyone thinks they're come town? They're
Of
just like,
course.
oh, me and my two dudes, we can definitely make $100,000 a month on Patreon.
I mean,
You
Joe
can't.
Rogan just gets high and talks to people in
Right.
front of a mic. I do that too.
Well, look, think about this. Think about what the low barrier to entry to podcasting is, and then how many of them are just like, okay. Like, and these are like, especially when it's like someone you love and respect, you're like, huh, this is your talk show. And then I'm like, am I putting too much effort into what I want to do? Like, and then I'm like, just putting the mirror up to myself. I'm like, should I quit?
I did one, and it was I had a chef and a comedian on, and
Okay.
my co-host is a chef, and it became that I did all the work for it. I did the editing, I got the guest. At one point, I'm like, you know what? I don't have enough time for this,
Yeah.
and I'm doing an okay job.
Well, if you want a moderately successful podcast, the only like barrier you have to get through is to make it sound like it wasn't recorded in your bathroom.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this sounds like you. I did my podcast for a while that got enough sponsorship that it was
Well,
okay.
my podcast is called the Bathroom Podcast.
Well, then that's,
Yeah,
that's,
just-
well, that's a concept.
The,
then.
the chef was cooking.
It's art. Was
called
that
toilet soup.
Was it Kramer that cooked in his shower?
in the shower, yeah. Listen,
the germaphobe episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but having the disposal in the drain,
that
I
was-
actually think that's a thing. I was like, listen, anyone that's ever lived with a woman or anyone with long hair,
Me.
that is the yeah, right. Exactly.
I have all the hair in the family.
You do have the most hair in the family. That is kind of funny.
I got mad. I'm like, our shower's draining.
which is why I refuse to shower at your house.
Well, that's the reason, the only reason.
Jess keeps asking me to stop.
Mark, please.
What's that red light in the bathroom? Don't worry about it.
They put they put the 5-minute light in the bathroom to let me know my time's up.
It's a podcast, okay?
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Okay, actually, so one of the last times, I'm very bad at catching the light. Do you have a trick for that when you're doing stand up when they're like, "Hey, time to wrap up"?
You know what? I tell them I always keep a stopwatch on my phone going so I know where I'm at. Reason I do that, I was doing a club in Chicago, and the guy who was running the sound booth, who also gives you the light, he goes, I go, hey, give me a light at 20. I was featuring up there. And it was a really good, like I did, I think 4 shows that weekend. This is the one that was going so well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he lit me at 15 minutes. I'm like, did I go over my time? Like, I don't want to do that to the headliner. I get off stage and I go, my phone says I was only up there for like 17 minutes. Oh, sorry, man, I was talking to some girls. I'm like, you mother.
Yeah, right.
Are you kidding me? Like, it was going so well.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I always keep a stopwatch on my phone. And I do say,
that's a
give
good
me a light
move.
if I'm doing 25, give me a light at 20. If I'm doing 45, give me a light at 40.
Okay.
Because just in case this thing dies on me for whatever reason,
Right.
this technology.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. But I typically always see the light.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what I do.
The last time I did it, I kept missing it, and they were like, finally, they were like waving at me. I'm like,
Flashing light.
sorry. I was like, whatever. People are laughing. Stop.
Mobby.
I was like, this is an open mic. It doesn't matter. I was like, there's 6 people here, and they're mostly just to watch. It'll be fine. I don't think they're gonna care.
I played Fountain Square, and they required in-ears, and I was like, okay, fine, I don't care. We'll do it. They gave me like warnings in the in-ears. So like I didn't even have to. They were
That's
like,
actually really
hey
cool.
guys, you got 10 minutes because they had the timer and Fountain Square. They can't. They're like, when your time hits,
Done. Like,
we cut
we're
the,
just
we
cold,
cut the volume.
yeah.
Like they don't play.
I just imagine somebody with a giant lever in
You
the back.
just- And so yeah, there's a timer, but then they're like, all right, guys, you got 10 minutes left, and I was like, oh, sweet. Like,
Yeah.
I got to cut one song, but like now I know, right?
Yeah.
And so like Radio Artifact has the clock in the back.
Yep.
And it's like the only thing you can see
Yeah.
when the lights hit you. It's like a sea of black, but then there's the clock in the back. I love that.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about when you dry bar.
Yeah.
They have a countdown. How much
Oh,
time you have
nice.
left, which is beautiful. And I've done that. I think this last about a month ago was my 3rd time as a warm up act for the Mike Huckabee show down
Yeah.
in Nashville. And the 4 cameras that you're in front of, they have the timer on each one. Which
Oh,
is
that's
so
cool too.
nice
Yeah.
to see that.
What's it like doing a warm-up gig for that? Because that's got to be like kind of an odd just experience overall.
It's interesting. I mean, you do 7 minutes, pays great. That's why you do the drive.
Of course. Yeah.
So you walk out as the oldest, whitest crowd you ever be in front of.
Of
Like,
course.
it is.
Yeah.
But then,
I imagine it's like kind of like Pat Robertson's audience.
God.
You know what I mean?
but the first 2 times I did it were really good.
Yeah.
A lot of it. This time they had Robert Kennedy Jr. on.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And he had his own. He has the government Secret Service, and the government like, why would we do that? You
Right.
know, you're never a president.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like
So
in the
he
family.
has his own bodyguards, and I'm like, I'm doing my time. I'm like, man, this is not a good crowd. And I notice bodyguard.
They're not there laughing.
And they're like watching the audience. They're clearly in front of everyone.
Right.
Oh, so the audience is like,
You can see a gun.
if I
you can-
laugh, they're gonna shoot me.
You can
Yeah.
see a gun on them. They have a side piece.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm thinking during my set, they're probably this is a big distraction.
Yeah.
And I got off stage. I went back. Mike Huckabee, regardless of your politics, he's a really nice guy. He's a grandpa. He's actually a really nice guy.
Right.
And he goes, "How were?" And like, they were a little tight. And and then the one of the stagehands goes, "Yeah, we had McCain here, and Secret Service didn't stand in the audience like that. They mixed in. They
Yeah.
weren't out front." It's like,
Well, the
okay.
people that have the power don't generally need to flex it in front of people.
That's
is
true,
it?
right? Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, listen, you could be I could turn you into an agent right now,
Right.
like Matrix style.
And I could care less about politics. For me, I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't
I
care.
want a
don't
gig.
care.
It's
a gig.
I just
yeah.
want to
I'm
work.
getting paid.
That's
Shut
kind of
up.
like going back to the whole contest thing. I don't care about winning the contest. I just want to work. I
Yeah.
just want to get booked. That's all
sure.
I want. You know.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I enjoy it. The whole staff down there is really nice.
That's cool.
They take care of you.
Yeah, that's good.
Near Nashville for a night.
Yeah, it
so.
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like,
So-
it's one of those that like,
Gotta get that
Yeah.
hot chicken.
right.
Hot chicken.
You know what? The last time I was in Nashville, though, I didn't have hot chicken. No, wait. I did have that. And my hottest take is that Nashville hot chicken's fine.
Where'd you eat it from?
Hattie B's.
See, man, I feel bad because I'm from there. And
By the way, I
it
think it's-
used to be so much better.
I just think conceptually, it's one of those things that I'm like, this was never gonna blow my mind.
well, that
right?
was-
I like. Look, I know I'm a fat dude, but I'm like, I like
it's
fried
like
chicken,
if
but I
you
don't like
leave
care about it.
Cincinnati and they're like, "Hey, do you want our Cincinnati chill?" I'm like, "No, like I like it just fine, but I eat it when I'm just. What am I going to do for lunch?" That was Hattie B's. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. Let's go.
Yeah.
Now you wait 2 hours and you're like, it was just pretty good.
Have you been to Portland?
Yes.
Have you had? Is it Moonrise? The Moon Donut?
No, Voodoo Donuts.
Oh, Voodoo.
Voodoo and Blue Star.
I thought Voodoo was overrated.
They
so
totally are overrated.
Blue
Yeah.
Star is where you go. I honeymooned in Portland, and my buddy was
Okay,
like,
because there's a line outside Voodoo.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
we should go there.
Yeah.
I was like, we got to go to Voodoo, and he's like, I mean, you can go, but do you want like the
Do you want good donuts, or do you want to go to the place where you take a
And
picture?
I was like, well, let's go to the good donuts. And we went to Blue Star, and I was like, holy moly.
That was good, huh?
yeah, that's the
Okay.
move. Let's go to Portland, boys. All right, we're gonna head to
All right.
Portland
Yeah,
right
see ya.
now.
Go on
Hop
the
in the
road.
jungle copter.
That's the next thing on the budget. Nice studio. Now I want a copter.
Yes, that would be fun. You know, they almost got a helicopter here. They told that on the show. It was like an early episode of their show where they were like, well, because they wanted to figure out a faster way to Eastgate from here. And they were like, as the helicopter flies, like it is way faster, but the wind up and like the takeoff and what's the opposite of taking off? Landing. Sorry, I don't fly things.
Take off or take
gravity.
down.
Take
Take off and
Gravity.
take
Gravity
down.
the
I was
opposite.
Take down.
Take 'em out.
But they were just like, it took just like a minute or two longer because all the pre-check stuff to get up and go.
Yeah.
So like, may as well just drive.
My dad has a
I'm-
story about a helicopter. He was in his 20s at this amusement area. It's like it was like a Myrtle Beach kind of place.
Yeah.
And he was waiting in a helicopter. People in the helicopter went up. The wind was a little rough. Was doing this.
Yeah.
Crashed down. Everyone burned in the helicopter.
Oh my God.
He was like the next guy to get in. He's like, I'm good.
It's a Titan
I'm not
sub
going
all
on a
over again.
I
helicopter.
don't
You're like,
need to do that.
I'm not going on a helicopter.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm a
Well-
little sketched out by him for that reason.
Coincidentally, I think that was the one where they had the NES controller controlling the helicopter.
Right.
They gave it to a 2-year-old.
They use the Mad Cats. There's
Mad-
always
oh,
it's like the
classic.
Blockbuster brand. Oh my
Classic.
gosh. That's amazing.
That's why you never go third party.
I love it. Well, we went way longer than anticipated, so
Always
I think we
do.
should just wrap this. I know, right? Because we're talkers and we're fun. Adam, I'm glad we finally got to spend a little time together.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm sorry it's been so long since I've seen you perform, but I'm really glad to see this again on October 27th at Fretboard Brewing in Blue Ash.
Blue
I don't know, it
Ash.
was like Cincinnati. I was,
Blue Ash,
I'm still bad at that.
Cincinnati.
We've been having, in my personal life, we've been having these repeat conversations about how places have too many names. There's a lot of unnecessary signs. I'm like, how many subdivisions need a name? Nobody cares. You know who cares? The people who live there. I don't care. Just give me your street address. It made sense in a pre-GPS world, but now we've moved beyond it. I don't even know where I live. You know, I'm just like, navigate to home, and it
Yeah.
takes me to Home
Take me-
Depot, and then I'm mad about it, and I'm like, how in that is your command.
Siri overlords, just take me wherever you think I need to be.
Yeah, right.
That's what I do.
So true. Adam, I was going to ask, where can people come find your stuff in the meantime?
Oh, check out my website. It's myname.com, so adamminnick.com.
Cool. I'll put
keep
up a
it
little
simple.
super for you.
You can catch a couple of my clips from Dry Bar on there, and just check it out.
And listen to the news special.
Listen to I did the morning news up in Toledo. I'm actually back there. I'm doing a theater in Grand Rapids, Ohio this Saturday, and
Okay.
then on Monday night at Urban Pine Winery. I'm
Cool.
with a guy named Bill Bushert, who's a very Detroit comic, very funny.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Detroit, underrated city.
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn, that's awesome.
I'm at Mark Gridley's.
Oh, yeah? That'll be fun.
September of next year, which
Okay.
I'm super excited. So.
Dude, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah,
and thanks
thank
again
you.
for coming out. I really
No,
appreciate
thank you for having me.
Dude,
This is a
anytime.
blast.
Of course, yeah. We'll do more weird stuff together, but how about this guy? Tyler, anything you want to plug while you're here?
No, he just I've been doing the
ya.
same thing. St. Mary, St. Michael. That's the band that
The
will
most
be,
difficult to Google
Yep.
band name on the planet.
yeah. So Google Catholic churches, put band at the end. Maybe you'll find it.
Yeah. But isn't
yeah.
it just St. Mary, St. Mike.bandcamp? Isn't
St.
that-
Mary, St. Mike,
ST.
ST Mary, ST
Mike.
Mike will get you to any social/website.
Cool.
That's correct.
Yeah, that is a useful thing. I was trying to tag you in something the other day, and I just gave up. I didn't even make the
I
post.
did have
was just like,
have someone Instagram message me and tell me that I should change my name so that it's easier to find. And I was like, I can't do that. And I'm like, well, at least make it the full name. I'm like, you know how many Catholic churches already have? Like,
Yeah,
I got
for
what
sure.
I got, and
Yeah.
it was. I'm sorry. I don't
Well,
care.
this is why we put it out this way so that they know. We'll put it in text you. There's no
I
excuse
do it. I
now.
don't want you listening to my music. Get out of here.
There's no money in it anymore. Well, thanks, boys. I appreciate you coming out today. We'll see all of you on the 27th. Or
Yeah.
we won't. If you don't come out, I mean, I guess that's fine. I have no control over you, but you should be there. It's going to be funny. Thanks for coming on, guys. A pleasure as always. A great time. Hey, all right, let's round this up with another fun one. Coming up to you, this is my friend Johnny Catalano. Johnny is a filmmaker, artist, supporter, and I've got him in here eating a bunch of Halloween-themed snacks with me, which I thought was very fun and cute. And he will be hosting a screening again this weekend up at the Plaza Theater in Miamisburg, Ohio, just outside of beautiful Dayton, Ohio, where you get a chance to meet original Night of the Living Dead screenwriter John Russo. That's going to be a lot of fun. Check that out and meet Johnny.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Welcome back to the show. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I was on here,
You were just voice last
yeah,
time,
voice,
but that
yeah.
still counted. That
Oh,
was,
yeah.
that was a my scheduling problem.
Yeah. I loved it. It was great.
Well, let's get a quick who are you, why you're here, and then I'll go through what we're eating along with
Sure.
our discussion today.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm Johnny Catalano, independent filmmaker around these parts, Cincinnati, Dayton area. I guess, just like any independent artist, I'm kind of doing multiple things at once. So.
Juggling professionally.
Yeah, juggling everything, and this summer, May, I've been working with this theater, the Plaza Theater in Miamisburg, for a long time professionally, just doing my events.
Yeah.
I have a film festival in February.
Yep.
Called the Catalano Film Festival. A little plug and a little narcissism there, but it's
Okay,
all
you're
good.
allowed to love yourself. in
Yeah,
this room.
yeah. I see it as like a Cecil B. DeMille thing, you know what I mean? Like, Walt Disney, like
Yeah.
like Kanye West, I'll just start naming all these people and then saying I'm these people.
And
But-
later we'll freeze you.
yeah, right. Exactly. I'm a genius just like those people. So yeah, the Plaza Theater in Miamisburg, historic Plaza Theater. It was just a little background on that theater. It was originally built as a theater in 1919, actually.
Oh,
so
cool.
Over a century old. Probably was playing Nosferatu in its original run.
That's crazy to
which
think
we're
about,
playing
isn't
this
it?
Saturday. Oh yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So in the late 60s, though, with like kind of the evolution of television and the hippie stuff,
Right. Oh, yeah.
people
Good
were,
times.
good times, Easy Rider, people weren't going to the pictures as much as they used to. It was a lot of the theater industry moved to like drive-ins and all that type of stuff. So it kind of went out in the late 60s as a movie theater.
Yeah.
And became a Western gear shop. So
Oh, weird.
yeah,
That's cool, though.
It was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, as somebody who really loves westerns, like I grew up loving westerns. It's kind of like weird, almost that it has that connection. But yeah, I mean Sorrells is what it was called, and the family. So Doug Sorrell, who is like the president of the Plaza Theater.
Yeah.
Actually, that's his family's shop. So in 20 like that Western shop was sold.
Yeah.
So then it was kind of the building itself was kind of unoccupied.
Right.
It was in disarray. And it had an excellent marquee and everything like that, but like it was just laid vacant essentially. And then, the people of Miamisburg in 2015, group of people who became the Plaza Theater Association,
Oh, cool.
rose it back and
So we're
raised
keeping
the
it horror
funds.
themed, right? So it was a ghost of its former self.
It was,
And
yeah.
like a good zombie,
Yeah.
came back to life, raised by Dr. Frankenstein.
Exactly. You're bringing it all together, which is great because I was definitely not doing that. But yeah, it was, it rose from the dead, just like a zombie. And but a good zombie.
Yeah, one of the good ones.
One
yeah.
of the good ones. It became a movie theater back in 2015. So,
And they've been doing traditional movies, but they're also
Yes.
obviously supporter of like the independent film scene. And then, let's dive into what the event you've got
Yeah,
coming up
let's
here.
do it.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got a flyer up here. I'll probably put a digital copy up on screen.
Yeah,
too, just in
terrific.
case. Can you see that? It's time for the Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
So what do you got going on? So that is what is this the 28th of Saturday?
Yep, October 28th.
Saturday. I
Of
meant
Saturday.
of October.
Yeah, of the weekday of weekend of Saturday.
Imagine if Michael had been here to drink wine with us, and I had already been messing it up.
Oh yeah, I mean that would have been nice to have a little bit of a buzz right now, but no, I mean this is a great event. So yeah, in a roundabout way of my story, I started working for the Plaza
cool.
as a manager.
Yeah.
And just wearing a couple hats, like getting this event organized.
so cool.
It's really fun so far, and I've loved it. But yeah, this Night of the Living Dead. With John Russo.
I know you've got a list of co-creator. He wrote the screenplay, right?
Yes. So he's like, if you look him up, it's usually John A. Russo or Jack Russo. But he co-wrote the screenplay with George A. Romero. May he rest in peace.
Yes.
One of my favorite filmmakers of all time. A huge
Yeah.
inspiration. Obviously, as a regional independent filmmaker, for
sure.
He's
This is
god.
the movie, and it's funny. In my research leading up to this, this is fun research where
Yeah.
I'm just like, you mean watching a movie? It is really interesting to see how much of an indie, no budget indie vibe it has, and I always forget about that.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, because I've only seen it a couple times. It was one of those movies that I kind of just missed until I was
Yeah.
old,
Right.
and then I watched it. I was like, oh damn, this is a banger! It
Yeah.
really holds up well. And
absolutely does.
Yeah, I may or may not have been watching it again last night, prepping
Yeah,
for this.
yeah.
But hey, before we go too into the movie, because I know you and I will never stop talking about this,
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
go through a couple things Johnny and I are going to try here today because I wanted to keep it Halloween themed. So,
Let's
of
do
course, I went out and saw my boy Ozzy out in International, and he's got these fun sugar skulls in. Now, these are for the Day of the Dead, but they look
Romero
cool.
film.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. He also made these. So Ozzy's been making all these fun gummy candies. seasoned with tahine and chamoy. And for the season, he made a bunch of gummy skulls. So we got some gummy skulls. I've got, I thought this would be cute as I was walking through Natural Foods. We've got these line of pumpkin pie flavored cookies from Goody Girl. What was the thing? It said something funny on here that I laughed about. Now I can't find it. It was like, we put the, oh yeah, there it is. We put the good in Goody.
Oh,
well, we'll see about that, Goody Girl. I've got, well, I'll go drinks next. Johnny's sipping on some Liquid Death.
That's
We'd love,
right.
yeah.
Still this time, but I usually go sparkling because,
Okay.
you know, I got a little bit of a European palate.
I love it. You're just back from Italy
Yeah,
now, so you're
yeah.
still doing that.
Yeah.
Have you tried any of the teas yet from them?
No.
They're pretty good. I
didn't
think
know they
they have an armless Palmer that is
Oh,
really, I think that's my
all
favorite
right.
of the tea lineup.
Yeah.
My drink, and I forgot coffee this morning, so I'm going with another Halloween themed one. Witch's Brew from Alani Nu. It's caramel apple flavored energy drink, baby. Lady owned. And last but not least, because we're both men of talent and taste, this came in from the cheese shop, and I've been sitting on this for a little bit for this episode. It's from a charcuterie company called The Spotted Trotter. And shout out to Tim and our cheese shop for seeing this, having the vision. And this flavor that we're trying today, it's a salami, but it's called Spicy Chupacabra.
Ooh.
So I'll peel that open too, so we can just do it at leisure.
Let's do it.
I thought about making a big charcuterie tray, but I am less about presentation and more about I
Yeah.
want these brands to care that I did this for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that.
So, on that being said, now we can sip and eat away to our heart's content. I had
it.
some thoughts about this movie, rewatching it again.
Yeah.
Look, we talked about the indie filmmaker aspect, right? And I mean, I put myself in that camp. I haven't really had time in the last like 2 or 3 years since I
Yeah.
started this project
Naturally.
to do
Yeah.
it. But it's something I think about a lot. And, you know, we were starting to touch on it a minute ago. It's interesting to me with this movie that it's what, 60 years old almost now?
55.
55
Making
years
its
old.
55th anniversary
Is it this year?
month.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So thinking about that and thinking about how many bad indie movies I've watched in my entire life,
Yeah.
it's insane to me and a true testament to both the script and the filmmaker, really. I mean, Romero, there's a
Absolutely.
reason that he's revered the way he is. But that something like this that was made on almost, and you can even tell then there's like no budget in this movie,
shrink.
right?
Yeah.
I mean it's incredible, and but it still looks great. It still has like this inventive sense.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting here thinking about all of these things that this movie pretty much invented.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
trapped survivors in a house. Zombies.
Zombies.
You know what I
It's the
mean?
big-
Like all
yeah,
of it. Like,
absolutely.
I mean, well, we can even touch on the things. I mean, this was made in the 60s, a time of racial tension, and we cast a black man as the lead.
Very
Brilliant.
courageous, brilliant.
I won't spoil the ending, but that seems on
Right.
brand for what happens at the end.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil the end either.
Right, but
because,
you know what I'm talking about. I was like,
oh, yeah.
And every time I watch it, I always forget it's coming, and I'm like, oh wait, oh God.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
it comes so like apathetically, which I think is really the brilliance of that.
Yeah.
Making it more subtextual
Sure.
than just like in your face.
For sure.
And that makes it in my mind timeless.
Yeah.
And like what you were saying, like we've both been a part of independent films,
Yeah.
productions, whether they be feature length or short form.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any that I've personally made so far, or that even some of my contemporaries have made so far that will have young 15-year-olds coming to the theater and loving it and being that just like absorbed by the story, by the characters, and that's the testament to the filmmakers and everybody involved. Because if you know a little bit about the production of Night of the Living Dead, which I probably know a little too much at this point.
I love it. No,
Yeah.
hey, listen, it's time to nerd out.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, DVD commentaries are great for especially for aspiring filmmakers.
I kind of miss that physical media is dying
Yes,
right now.
yeah.
Even though records are on the
Yeah.
surge, but people are like, no thanks, Blu-ray.
Yeah, Blu-ray is like, I feel like it has a market for sure, but like it's definitely a very focused market.
For sure.
Yeah.
And what's funny is like when you get something you love, it's usually well made, has all that stuff. But do you remember? I mean, how old are you? If you're willing to
25.
say- okay, so we've got enough of an age gap on us that it was probably different for you. But I remember when the DVD first launched in like the late '90s, and
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
blown up everywhere. It was crazy to me how quickly the studios learned. They're like, people love behind the scenes content.
Yeah.
People love diving into this, and I
yeah.
guess the internet has kind of made it easier to disseminate that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody is.
No,
I
no.
don't see any, it's like hard to find commentaries now. And you made a great point a second ago that for me as an 18-year-old just diving into film really in high school back then, thinking, wow, this is how this person made it. And just having a little of that insight, it felt so baffling. I remember, and my parents would not think it was weird, but they'd come in and I'd be watching a movie and then, someone would just start talking like they do. And they're like, what the hell are you watching? I'm like, I'm actually learning about this whole process.
Right.
And then, they were on board after that, but it was like that funny thing. I'm kind of sad it's going away. And I wonder how this is going to affect the next generation of filmmakers, truly.
I hope it doesn't. You know what I mean? Because I think that making ofs are something I watch they're almost like my comfort food.
Yeah,
like watches. I love watching DVD commentaries, making of featurettes and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure.
Of my favorite films because it gives you an insight of your favorite directors, your favorite actors, screenwriters, whoever it may be. Like not necessarily like what they think of the film, because that to me, I don't know how much, I kind of like the fact that there's not like countless interviews of like Stanley Kubrick talking about his films because then
he'd probably be terse and hilarious in those though. And I could he feels like the director who would leave his own commentary 30 minutes in.
Oh yeah,
and like,
absolutely.
why are we doing this?
Yeah, he was
I love it.
He was one of those people that's like, there's no point about talking about the art itself, maybe the production aspect of it, which is what I enjoy. But like the actual, like some directors talk a little too much about like the meaning of things, where I don't think that's necessary. But
it seems like it might depend on the movie too.
It depends on the film, for sure.
You make a great point, because then as soon as you said that, I was like, oh no, I'd be okay with that. And then I'm like, oh, my least favorite thing on the internet is ending explained.
Oh my god, those are outrageous.
When we saw Barbie, somebody in the theater behind me was confused by that movie, and while I enjoyed the movie, did not think it was a difficult to understand film.
I wouldn't say so. No,
it's pretty easy. It's definitely, it'd be like it was one of those things that blew my mind. And this person asked that question with the confidence of, I don't even know who, but it was a very loud. It was like a loud, silent moment.
Yeah.
Is she dead right now, bro? And I was like, why was that at 110 decibels? So anyway, this is also my chance to fight against the ending today. So you're right. Yeah, it's like they need to. There's like a fine line between tell me what's going on with the production, but maybe don't answer all the questions.
Exactly.
Well, it's like the David Lynch quote too, by the way. Sorry, to
he does a great. I love his.
Like, will you explain that? And he's like, no,
I won't.
One word answer. Yeah, good guy, David Lynch.
Because his film, like art, should work on a level. I thought of this analogy because of my brilliance,
Right.
But
these are the clips I'm cutting out.
That's perfectly fine. But I walk into a cathedral or something, anywhere, even whether it be the United States, Europe, wherever, or just any huge building that is immaculate in architecture and all that stuff. You don't walk into that and want an answer to every single work of or sculpture or whatever it may be, painting, stained glass window. It should work on an emotional level. It should work on this is giving me an emotion, that is inexplicable. And for me, that's what art is. You don't like listen to music, at least I don't, and like try to break it down on an intellectual level necessarily. I think it should work on an emotional level. I mean, you could do that with Bob Dylan, I guess, with his lyrics or whatever, but like it's even him, it's so cryptic that it's like it should be working on a, it's all right, Ma, like what the hell are you saying?
Well, no, that's a really great point too, where like, look, I've always been a person when it comes to not all art, but you mentioned music, so I'm going to dive in on that one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But like where I do like to pay attention to the lyrical content and listen to it. But again, I'm also just ascribing it to my own experience and my own emotions and less interested with like, so is this really a song about the creature from the Black Lagoon?
Right,
or is this about loss and love and how it makes me feel when I'm driving home singing along?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You're always going to place your own emotion, your own baggage, your own, personal experience on a film's meaning. You know what I mean? And that's my biggest reason why I don't like when like artists, filmmakers or whatever talk too heavily about like what they meant when they did this. You know what I mean? Because like I don't want that to ever ruin my how I view like There Will Be Blood. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because it may be different from like how you view it.
And how disappointing would that be after the fact, where you've like, I mean, that's happened with me. Funny enough, it seems like it happens more often with music than any
Yeah.
other art form.
Yeah.
But I also think musicians are the most willing to talk about it
Sure.
of all the
Yeah.
artists.
Yeah.
But it is a bummer when you're like, oh, I have this like emotional connection with this piece of art.
Yeah.
I love it, and then you
Yeah.
find out what it's like really about. You're like, oh, this song's about literacy. And you're
Right.
like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I like literacy, but
Yeah.
not enough to sing it. On the way
Right. It
home.
doesn't like it may mean something to that
Yeah, I was like,
musician.
oh no, I already knew how
Yeah,
to read.
right.
This is totally disappointing. This isn't about my love life like I thought. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I don't want like John Lennon tell me, what's that? God, is it Instant Karma?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like
it will get you.
Yeah, it will get you. You know what I mean? But like that song works on like a lot of like later half John Lennon works on me in an emotional level just because of the raw screaming and primal kind of stuff to it.
He
But
got
it's
wild
like,
at the end there.
oh God, really wild.
Yeah.
He's very much like a forerunner of like I don't want to. I always the proto punk stuff, but like
I'm bad at
certainly-
genres in general,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I have a rule here where you can say whatever you'd like.
Okay.
So, and if
Yeah.
anyone says you're wrong, well,
they
they can discuss it on their show.
Yeah, right. That's the meaning to them. You know what I mean? They're placing
yeah.
their own baggage on it.
How's the spicy chupacabra
It's
doing?
delicious.
Yeah.
It's got a perfect kick to it. I
agree
I
with
could
that.
taste the I could taste the fictional endangered species.
Wait till we try the Jersey Devil sauce.
Oh man, I gotta try that on there.
Yeah, well, this is really good.
Yeah, I love it. It's delicious. It's got a nice, definitely a nice bite to it for sure.
I'm trying to figure out what that one note of flavor is. I keep meaning to look at the.
It's kind of gamey.
Yeah. Is there? Hold on, it might be on here.
Yeah.
There's like a pepper I'm getting in particular. No, it could just be the chili powder.
Is it? Yeah, I could totally see it being the chili powder.
Little chili pea, like what's his name? Jesse Pinkman.
Well, it actually does have a chili flavor, like
Yeah.
soup chili. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
sounds good too. We'll do that next year.
I'd love to. I don't want to bathe in it, but
fine.
I'll
I got you under control.
Yeah, you got that in.
These little skulls are kind of. This is actually. So speaking of the movie, this reminds me of when Barbara first finds the little guy up the stairs.
Yeah, and nice little DVD.
Oh, yeah,
commentary
please.
Track. George Romero made that.
Really?
Out of whatever materials he could find. You know what I mean?
That's cool. Look, filmmaking is problem solving.
Ingenuity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what that film has in like spades. You know
That's
what
why. Okay, can I be mean to Tim Burton for a minute?
I mean? For sure. Be me.
That's why early Tim Burton is some of the coolest stuff
Mm-hmm.
ever. And then once Tim Burton got rich, all of his movies suck. I don't know what happened.
Where do you draw?
You know where I know where I draw the line
Okay.
at the end credits of Big Fish. That was like the thing, and even there were a couple before that I wasn't super crazy about,
Yeah.
but like Big Fish, I loved, and I was like, oh, this is cool, and it's like nice to see him expand as a filmmaker. I thought John August's script for it was really good. But then after that, he becomes like so CG forward. You lose so much of it. And it's weird because you'll still see him do sketches every so often.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
oh, that guy is still in there.
He's still there.
But why are you, what is this? Like, I think it was Red Letter Media was doing a thing about it was one of his movies recently. Oh, maybe they were talking about Beetlejuice. I don't remember. But
Yeah,
anyway,
maybe.
but they were talking about, they anecdotally brought up a thing about can you imagine if Tim Burton remade his own movie now? Oh, it was Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, okay, so, you think about Pee-wee's Big Adventure, there's that cute scene at the beginning where he goes in the magic shop.
Right, yeah.
And it's like this, but it's like this clever scene. It's just it's pretty much just like a back and forth, very simple
Yeah.
shot. And they're like, now imagine the modern Tim Burton scene. It's like, it'd be a CG fly through the store. There'd be hundreds of thousands of kids. It's so weird how money affects art in that regard.
does.
And so I wanted
It's
to bring
odd.
it back to
Yeah.
how I think, honestly, this is kind of a perk of Romero never getting super duper insanely wealthy.
Yeah, yeah.
Where like, and he was making movies at a time where that hadn't really taken over the
Oh, no.
AAA space.
No.
Because even, what was the last one?
Like the last, like zombie film.
Like the last big one he did.
Land of the Dead. There's
That
Diary
was
of the
what-
Dead, Land of the Dead.
Yeah, it was before Diary of the Dead. It was like, because it was like Simon Baker.
That's Land of the Dead.
Okay, that was Land of the Dead. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
And I remember enjoying that pretty
Yeah.
well. And again, it had enough of a budget to tell the story he wanted to tell, but he was still able to do creative and interesting things.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think that was like Day of the Dead I'm not Day of the Dead. Land of the Dead is like, I think that's essentially what his concept was for Day of the Dead. Like when
Okay.
he originally wrote the Day of the Dead scripts, he had large, sprawling, like it was supposed to be like his Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Of that was the term they used back then before,
It's funny how time worked, because that was
Yeah.
like the early 80s still, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
Everything
sitting
was
here-
compared to Gone with the Wind. You know
Right,
what I
because
mean?
then
That
it was like, you had
Yeah.
it was that, or if you were making sci-fi, they were like, we can do the Star Wars.
Right,
thing.
yeah,
You know what I
Star
mean? That
Wars.
was it. Those
Yeah.
were the two options.
Exactly.
That's
So
funny.
those were the two options. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. So it's supposed to be a sprawling epic of the zombie film. It's supposed to be like his. I think at that time
Yeah.
that was supposed to be like his end all be all zombie film, which I don't think he thought he would become the cultural. He got strapped with like, I'm the cultural icon of the zombie film.
Yeah,
so
he's like, I'm the
pretty
zombie
much
guy, right?
Pretty much. That's what ended up.
Well, and I don't think it hurt or helped necessarily that
Yeah,
he made
yeah.
Dawn of the Dead, which is
Right.
like it's funny that one doesn't have quite. It's weird. Like in the film circles, it has the respect and
Exactly.
reverence that
Yeah,
this
yeah.
one does.
Yeah.
And I'm always surprised it's not more popular,
That's interesting you
like
mentioned that.
publicly popular. You know what I mean?
I totally understand what you're saying, because I've thought the same thing too. It's like I think this one's more iconic just for everybody.
It's
but
easy
like,
to watch. It's 90 minutes.
short. Dawn of the Dead is, like you said, like in film circles, it's like a masterpiece. It's
Yeah.
like it's a masterwork, which it is. But like it's definitely more of an investment, I think. And plus, like it's not as easy to watch actually, because like there's
The first
several
time I watched
versions.
it, I hated it.
Yeah, I mean, there's several versions.
Yeah.
There's the Argento.
Yep.
There's the Cannes cut, and then there's the Romero cut.
Right.
And then there's just all these different like versions of the film, and then it's long.
Yeah.
It's like 2 hours and a lot of change. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's not as I think people know the mall
Right.
situation, and they know that that's a thing, but
Yep.
I don't think they like Night of the Living Dead is just. It's so easy to watch. It's on every streaming service because it's public domain.
Yeah, and I think, now I'm thinking about modern film culture, just modern societal culture, right? Where this is still relatable, right?
Yeah.
Cemeteries didn't go out of, like, they're
No,
not out of
yeah.
date. A house
Yeah.
isn't out of date. I mean, the car's a little old, but like, whatever,
Yeah.
it's still a car.
Right.
And I think that maybe in a weird way, because like mall culture existed for such a kind of a short time in the grand
Yeah.
scheme of human
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah, for sure.
That like by the end of the 90s, it was already starting to tap out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, so now, well, you had what's his name's remake of it.
Yeah, Zack Snyder.
Do you hate that remake or do you like it at all?
Never seen it.
Really?
And I
would be so curious for your
Yeah.
take on it, because it's one of those movies that it should just have a different title.
I hear. Yeah.
And because I do like it,
Yeah.
but it's missing it's like the fun version, right?
Right.
It's easy to watch, again,
Yeah.
fairly relatable, but it loses pretty much all of the consumerism.
Right.
I think that's
Yeah.
why Romero works so well as a filmmaker. Again, going back to Night of the Living Dead, you're hitting on this sort of, not satire, but you are
Yeah.
doing this sort of like, hey, let's deconstruct a bit of society.
It's social satire.
And
Yeah.
that reminds me, was that intentional
For
Night of the Living Dead?
so the stories vary. You know what I mean?
I'm assuming. So my take,
Yeah.
and I have no information on this.
Yeah.
My take is that it was not intentional.
Yeah.
And more based out of, I'm filling holes
Yeah.
in a problem, right? And I always wondered that about the casting of
Yeah.
Dwayne. What's his name? Is Ben.
Jones.
Dwayne
Yeah.
Jones. Thank you. Because I always wondered that, because it gets brought up all the time, especially in modern
Yeah.
times. Everyone's like,
absolutely.
this is
Yeah.
about racism, and I was
Right.
like, I actually think
Yeah.
it's not as. It's like. Sure, it's there,
Yeah.
right? And it's like about racism outside of the film, if that makes sense. Where
Yeah.
it's more about like, wow, this dude cast a black guy in
Right.
1968
Yeah.
to be in this movie. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
No.
that was a bigger deal. But they don't really touch on it much in
Yeah.
the film.
No,
you know what I mean?
Not at all. And that's the thing about it. It's like Russo. So like one of the great things, John Russo was firsthand, on the scene. So like, he'll be able to answer this way better than I could. I mean, I know this just from my research, but just like you said, it wasn't. The story that everyone tells from that production is that he was the best actor.
Yeah.
And when they wrote the script, it wasn't. There was no color mentioned.
Right.
So they just got the best actor they thought for the role, which he's great.
Yeah, he's awesome. He like absolutely carries the movie.
It's a timeless performance. It doesn't date. A lot of like I think his name's Carl. Oh my goodness, Carl Haldman. Please fact check me. But like he plays Mr. Cooper. I love his performance. It's so like animated and operatic and funny.
Right.
Like it's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
but it's I think for certain people they might be. I like animated performances personally.
It depends on the movie, obviously. You know,
right.
it's like a tonal thing.
It's
but
a tonal thing. Like,
but also, I think we're willing to forgive that in older films because there was a lot of that still.
And these weren't, a lot of these were not like Carl. Everybody, a lot of the actors were actually like playing multiple roles. They were the Marilyn Eastman, who's Mr. Cooper's wife, was makeup, and so was Carl.
That's awesome.
Johnny Russell Striner, who's still alive, was the producer. So I mean, like
that's awesome.
It was a collaboration of playing on multiple.
It seriously
levels.
feels like a movie we'd be making, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Seriously,
People
I
are
mean, like
picking up
hearing that
slack.
stuff, you're just like, hey, listen, we don't have hair and makeup, so
right.
it's on you. Please.
Yeah. And also act, please, because like
right. And that actually tracks too because like Dwayne's performance as Ben is so it's understated.
Yes.
It's very relatable.
Yes.
I love I like what his character stands for. And in my recent rewatch, the biggest takeaway for me is that he is willing to put himself on the line for the greater good, right?
Yeah.
Above and beyond everything, which I do think adds to the sort of what I'm assuming is unintentional subtext about like the quality of people and that you shouldn't judge them by the color of their skin, right?
Exactly. It's. I think it all works on a subtextual level for sure. But like if you see what I think sets the film apart, honestly, is in what makes it what made it go to the Library of Congress, what made it go into the Museum of Modern Art, was because of the ending. The last like 5 or 6 minutes with the vigilantes, it's
amazing,
so present. And it's
because it's like the cops leading a team of vigilantes, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh gosh. And you know what's so brilliant about that? Again, I literally just double checked the clip so I could make sure I didn't sound like an idiot.
Yeah.
But it like almost after the thing happens that we won't spoil, even though it's a 60-year-old movie and whatever.
Yeah.
As soon as it happens, it almost turns into like news footage, and it kind of reminds me of the way they handle it in Tobe Hooper Texas Chainsaw. Yeah, where you have a little bit of that like, it like suddenly turns into
unsettling.
And it was really. It's very unsettling, especially because this event that occurs at the end of the film is super abrupt, kind of unexpected.
Yeah.
But I did, and I went into it again. As soon as I remember, oh gosh, that's the ending, I did have that moment of like, oh, is this the commentary? And then it still doesn't really feel like commentary. The way it's shot, it's very much like, oh, is that a zombie?
Yeah.
Shoot it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Apathetically. It's completely careless.
And detached.
It's detached. That's the beauty of it. One for the fire.
Right.
Yeah, one more for the fire. It's just like
well said.
That it's that it gives me goosebumps just like saying that line because it's like it's brilliant. I mean, like like I said, like 1968, couple friends in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It feels like a metaphor for the movie a little bit. One more for the
little
like
bit.
Just, let's go.
Yeah. It's a big. Are you allowed to curse on here?
Yeah, you do. I want you to feel like yourself.
Okay, all right. It's really a big fuck you to the movies that were being made at that time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's very down and dirty. And it shocked audiences at the time, understandably so. I mean, like I was even watching it. I was freshening up with me, and I was watching it with my mom, and she. Like when they're eating, like the where they got the stuff was like entrails, kind of like
Yeah, right, exactly. It doesn't look too. I got a deal on some gummy candy. What do you think of those? They're pretty good, actually. I like the little spice on it.
And I usually am not a big fan of like the I guess what was this powder called again?
Oh, the tahine.
Tahine. I love tahine. Like on tacos and
absolutely.
and stuff, but like candy, not necessarily, but like I enjoy it.
Ozzy broke me with this because he was doing it. He did peach rings. He did some sour watermelon ones with it too, and I was like, and that and like the little chamoy sauce in there too. That sets it off.
That's
nicely.
good. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
No. Yeah, no worries.
Intros. No, I was thinking with the little girl too. I was thinking, I was like, every time I watch it, I always think, damn, how'd that get passed? Like, because now
nobody was telling them what to do.
Right. And now they'd be like, listen, you're going to have to cut the scene where the little girl zombie becomes a zombie and also murders her mother. You know what I mean? Like, I guess that's a spoiler.
It is, but who cares?
It's 55 years old. We're celebrating.
If you haven't seen it, you
should have. It's free on YouTube.
Exactly.
They have a really nice cut of it on HBO Max, though.
They do.
Or, excuse me,
I think that's the Criterion version, which
makes sense. Yeah,
it's really well restored.
Yeah. The one I watched today was not really. It looked like they were like what I think they filmed it through a cataract.
And I kind of like that though. I kind of like.
Oh, I just meant the cut I had on
No.
YouTube.
I like that cut.
Yeah.
It almost makes you feel like you're going to an old like a Grindhouse Cinema, or you're going to like an old like drive-in. You know what I mean?
That's an event we should team up on. We should do a
I think
Grindhouse
so.
thing. That'd be fun.
I think so.
Well, tell you what, as we've burned through a lot of this. I mean,
Yeah.
I think where should we? Okay, we got Saturday, October 28th. We're at the Historic Plaza Theater in Miamisburg. Miamisburg is like close to Dayton, right?
So it's right in between Cincinnati and Dayton.
Oh, okay, cool. So even better. That's awesome. And John Russo's going to be there, and he's doing a Q&A with everybody?
Yes, and apologies for my chewing and stuff, but these
Oh my gosh,
gummies.
are you chewing on a food show? This is over.
Yeah.
Get out of here,
It's over. I
Catalano.
might as well leave. Yeah, but so yeah, Mr. Russo,
Mr. Russo.
which I was calling him for a while, and then he finally emailed me back.
like,
He's
"You
like,
can
call
just
me
call me
John.
John."
I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But anyway,
Plaza Theater. What's
Plaza-
the cost to get in?
$10.
$10,
So like
perfect.
he will be there. I will be moderating a Q&A.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm honored to do it. But I don't really want to make. I'm opening up to the floor a lot of
Sure.
it. I'm gonna, of course, do the introductory
Right.
comments and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna open up to the floor and if you have any burning questions about the production of the film,
Yeah.
bring them there. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because I certainly do. But I can ask those in my own personal time.
You mentioned burning question, and I
Yeah.
thought about this when I was skimming through. With the scene where Ben takes like the table leg or whatever to turn into the torch early on in the
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
And all I could think about the whole time as I'm sitting there going like, oh, this is indie as hell, because like there are a few moments where I was like, I think he almost caught himself on fire.
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
like
Yeah.
rich black smoke ripping through
Yeah,
that scene.
yeah.
And I was like, I bet they shot this one take and hope for the best.
Yes, a lot of that film was that, and the fact we're still talking about it on this podcast
Right.
is awesome.
We're like
You know what I
35
mean?
minutes in. We're
Yeah.
almost as old as the film. No, it's amazing.
Exactly.
That's so crazy.
But
Well-
yeah, I'll go ahead. I mean, just like for the details, he will be there. There's a showing at 4 p.m. and
Okay.
7 p.m.
Awesome.
He will do a Q&A after each.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so like people have been calling our theater and asking. So he'll be at both 4 p.m. and 7 p.m.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then Evening Edge with Todd Hulse, which is a WHIO radio show.
Yeah.
For any of you edge heads out there,
Where the
if you're
edge
out-
heads at?
If you edge heads are out
I'm
there,
trying to get the edge heads to fight the banana bunch.
You can convert some of the edge heads.
We'll combine. We can just share fans.
No, you share. It's-
exactly. It's
We're
a
all
group effort.
we're all friends here in Ohio.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Allegedly, there's some weird competitory things. I'm sure, if that's even a word.
It is. You invented it today. Thank you.
another one
Merriam-Webster
of
is
my-
actually texting me.
Oh, great.
They're like,
Great.
tell Catalano he's in.
I'm glad I could do that. Also add Catalano-esque if you could. But anyway, yeah, he'll be there. And he will be welcoming all his edge heads, giving autographs as well.
Oh, that's cool.
He made this his graphic designer made this lovely flyer.
Yeah, I thought this came out awesome. It looks really.
It looks terrific.
Seriously, you guys really killed it on the flyer.
Yeah.
I've been hot lately on the good flyer game, so every
Yeah.
time I see one, I definitely want them to know.
Absolutely.
Great
I've been
work,
dropping them
everyone.
off at like Spirit Halloweens.
Oh,
you
cool.
know?
Great idea. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I'm like, people go in there, like, they love Halloween. So
You should dress up the theater as a spirit of Halloween that night. Like,
we
put
should-
the fake
well,
sign up.
we got, yeah, I know. This is a Spirit Halloween.
You're like, oh, I guess the
actually.
screening's
Yeah,
over.
yeah. But we do welcome people dressing up.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's certainly something we welcome. It's October 20th, so like the Saturday of Halloween.
Yeah, that's
weekend,
Halloween.
you know?
That's perfect.
So
Yeah.
like it couldn't
And the
have been a
movie's
better
short
weekend.
too, so you'll be out of there in time to still go to a party afterwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You
it's
go,
genius.
Miamisburg, I would be remiss if I didn't mention downtown Miamisburg. If you haven't visited yet, the first time I visited was for the theater, but then when I discovered the little city, it's amazing. It's got like several bars, several restaurants.
We love a small town.
Ice cream.
Hey, huge fan.
Yeah, it's a great place to just like have a night. You know what I mean? Especially during the spooky season because it's very haunted. Our Plaza Theater is haunted as well.
Oh, I should come up with my proton pack.
You
I got it.
should- you
It's right
should.
behind you.
Oh wow, we just had.
I am
Ghostbusters
ready to
not too
go
long ago.
bust some ghosts. I know.
I mean, you should because somebody was actually murdered outside the theater.
Oh, I think we got to close on that.
Yeah, we
Let's
should.
discover the murder.
Yeah.
Johnny, no, truly, thank you so much for coming on today. too.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Well,
look
thank
forward
you.
to more screenings. Yeah, come back again when we get something else fun. Let's do one together. That'd be fun.
I would love to, Mark, and yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it. You've always
Always.
been very nice to me, so I again appreciate it. and
Keep doing
some
cool
great
stuff
food.
for artists and creatives, and you always have a home with me.
All right, well, I will.
Hey, Johnny, thanks for coming. I just realized Johnny came back. Johnny also a repeat guest. That's very cool. Hey, but this time you got to see him in person too. Always love to see it. And hey, thank you to all of you who've been watching the show. Thanks for tuning in and subscribing. Hope to see a bunch of you on the TikTok Live. Well, today, technically, it's every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless otherwise noted on social media. You can find out more information on our YouTube, our other social media platforms, all that stuff. I want to give you some fun stuff. Thanks for supporting. And you know what I was thinking? It's time for me to do something that makes me feel good. And you know what makes me feel good? Bustin'. You can catch me bustin' out in the aisles.
The Jungle Gyms podcast is recorded in the WJJI studio inside Jungle Gyms International Market in Fairfield, Ohio. The Jungle Gyms podcast is produced and hosted by Mark Borison.